The more moving parts something has, the more likely it is to break. Rainbow Six Siege used this sort of philosophy when adding the SAS, one of the core groups of Rainbow. While they are quite simple, it doesn't hurt to really learn about the operators anyway. I'm Minotaur, and I'll be showing you just how to play the SAS operators. Sledge is the first amongst the SAS to discuss. The gadget he brings is the breaching hammer, probably the simplest weapon in the game. See something you don't like? Simply whack it. Sledge is classified as an entry, meaning that you're supposed to be one of the first ones entering the building. Your hammer will allow you to clear the way to sight. When farther from sight, your hammer will primarily be used to knock down barricades and soft walls. As you get closer to sight, your hammer will also assist you in clearing barbed wire and deployable shields. Alternatively, you could go above sight and use your hammer on the floor to open some angles into sight. Sledge is a unique case. When I said that SAS isn't complicated, Sledge takes that to the extreme. The gadget is so simple that you could take it anywhere. In some circumstances, it wouldn't be as useful as other things, but it'll never be bad. Before grenades got reworked to get rid of cooking, Sledge mains would toss them at the ground then hammer it to get an insta-kill depth charge-like effect. Unlike a fuse, there was no running from this. The point is, you can't really mess up Sledge. He's fantastic for beginners especially. His only downside is his skill ceiling isn't particularly high. The problem with never being bad is you might also never be good. Now it's time to go over loadout options for Sledge. In your primary slot, you have a choice between the M590A1 shotgun or the L85A2 assault rifle. As far as shotguns go, the M590A1 is actually quite good. I don't exactly recommend it though, especially on Sledge. The problem with shotguns is that they struggle at range. Surprise, surprise. The thing is, an attacker like Sledge needs the versatility to confidently take a gunfight at any range, which you'll lack if taking the shotgun. Defenders can be wherever the hell they want though, which means sitting close to doors if they so choose. Sledge especially doesn't need the shotgun, as one of the reasons to risk taking it over an assault rifle is destruction. Sledge has a hammer for that exact reason. If you do insist on taking the shotgun anyway, be my guest. I won't order you to play a certain way, this video is just a guide on more optimal ways to play. The L85A2 is the gun that I recommend using. Got high damage with average fire rate, all with practically no recoil. I choose to run the horizontal grip so I can move fast while swinging. That's just a personal choice. A recommendation, however, is equipping the laser on Sledge. Usually they aren't picked due to the fact that enemies can see your laser, but I believe Sledge is a unique case due to the fact that you're always swinging your hammer. The faster ADS time that comes with the laser sight could save your life. Sledge has only one secondary option, but the L85 is good enough that you won't be forced to swap to the pistol often. When running the shotgun though, you will be using it quite a bit. Lastly, we have utilities, of which Sledge can either take along grenades, flashbangs, or impact EMPs. Grenades are the more meta option, as not only can you clear defenders from tough to reach places like there's some sort of gunk, you can clear utilities from a distance. It's akin to a worse as charge. You could take things like deployable shields or other bulletproof utilities out from a distance. Considering clearing stuff is your job, being able to do it at a distance is also nice. Flashbangs, however, don't mesh as nicely with Sledge's kit, but can still be a viable option. While you can't just throw them somewhere and follow like a sane human, we can also play some form of lethal whack-a-mole. To participate, use an opening to get yourself somewhere uncomfortable from the defender's perspective. Note that this particular step is more difficult than it sounds and requires teamwork. Anyway, to actually proceed with the whack-a-mole, the trick is we're going to push from an angle believed to be impassable at the current moment while using the flashbang as bait. After chucking a flashbang through the door, we'll wait maybe half a second to break the head holes open and swing our blinded and concussed victim. If all does go well, whoever was holding the door was unaware of us breaking in due to being blinded and unable to hear. Or you could just use grenades and skip this silly process that may or may not even work half the time. Or you could take impact EMPs. They'll serve a similar purpose to the grenade, except instead of destroying something annoying, you'll temporarily disable something irritating. Throwable traps are usually placed above doors waiting for people to walk in. After tossing an EMP, you can go wherever you please without being harassed, but it will reactivate again. Once safe, destroy the obstacle you temporarily pacified. Sledge as an operator is fine. He's too basic to ever be bad, but can't always do the craziest of plays. He's great for newer players, as you've got to be real interesting of an individual to be a detriment when using this guy. At worst, you just won't bring much. You'll hardly ever hinder the team. The skill ceiling isn't as high though, and other jobs can do variations of his job better. Buck is better for soft destruction by a mile, and Ash is much better at clearing utility, if only Ash mains could actually figure that out. Thatcher is the other SAS operator on attack. Thatcher's gadget is the EMP grenade. Any electronic devices caught when the EMP grenade goes off will be temporarily disabled. Applications technically vary, as while it can be used in a variety of situations, it isn't too useful in a lot of these situations. Thatcher is a flex operator, and therefore is picked less to fill a slot and instead picked with a specific purpose in mind. The main purpose of the EMP usually ends up being disabling wall denial. Opening an exterior wall like this one on Clubhouse can be an excellent way to skew the match in your favor. Unfortunately, some defenders have the means to make this difficult for your hard breachers. Disabling these devices will clear the way for your hard breacher. Dealing with a mute is easiest, as the gadget isn't really designed for wall denial, it just can act as a sort of half measure. The hard breach can be placed anyway, and once activated, the mute jammer can't do anything to stop it. Once your EMP is activated, the hard breach can go off and the wall is opened. Cade is usually just as easy, but there may be a time or two when the Cade tries to trick the wall. Once your EMP goes off, a second Cade claw may be thrown that will activate in time to destroy the thermite charge placed on the wall. After throwing your first EMP, throw a second anytime from the moment your first one touches something to maybe half a second after. This will deactivate the Cade claw while it's activating, allowing the wall to be opened. Bandit tricking is the most difficult to deal with, as the box will be activated immediately. Outplaying a bandit is more of Thermite's job rather than Thatcher. This is because the Thermite will have to bait the bandit out to get him to trick the wrong wall and hopefully deploy the charge during that time. The bandit still has the advantage regardless, and it may become pointless to continue trying to open the wall. Most bandits aren't that great though, and most times you can repeat the same method that worked for dealing with Cade and the bandit will fail to trick. The chance for the bandit to trick is still much higher though. And that's where conventional Thatcher ends, but they can be used to deactivate other things like traps and other gadgets. You can't be blown out by a Pecan if it's temporarily disabled. In fact, an operator that was in the radius of an EMP when it went off will have their cams disabled until the effect wears off. All of the 1x scopes aside from iron sights have their reticle disabled by the EMP. ACOGs aren't affected though. It sounds much more useful than it actually is. In fact, it's almost pointless. Cams are usually tied to find out where enemies are, and they're gonna know that you're at least close if you manage to take away their cams. The center of the screen isn't just gonna get up and walk away like your hollow sight. It's a close quarters game. You can line people up without a sight if you really wanted to. Now we're on to Thatcher's guns. Thatcher has the same weapons as Sledge while also having another gun, the AR-33. The M590A1 is not recommended for the same reasons as it was on Sledge, although without the sledgehammer. The L85A2 is still great, you can never go wrong with that gun. The AR-33 is a bit different than the L85. You do less damage, it's now on the lower end for ARs, but it's still workable. Higher rate of fire, and a slightly smaller mag. The recoil is still practically non-existent, just like the L85. Choosing between these guns is practically just damage or fire rate. I use the AR-33 as I've been conditioned to associate L85 with Sledge, and I don't want to throw an EAP at a door and then try and run through it. Both of Thatcher's utility options can prove to be useful. Claymores are the more popular choice. It's pretty common for defenders to try jumping outside of the building for a moment to try and kill the crew working on opening the wall. As part of this crew, be thankful you have claymores, as you can place them to stop runouts. Not particularly shocking. Breaching charges are also given to Thatcher. They don't seem as useful for Thatcher, but they do have their uses. For example, we're now on coastline and the bomb site selected is kitchen service. The VIP wall above site has been reinforced, as per usual, but this time the enemy team has shocked the wall and is clearly planning to hold the upstairs as well as the kitchen. To adjust to the situation, our flex, this time a Thatcher, can use the breaching charges to take over the job of our soft breacher. The soft breacher can now play our hard breacher. After helping open the wall for our entries, securing top floor, and letting flank watch set up, we can now play vert with the charges. The reason claymores can't take the mantle of flank watch on this mission is because the hallways are too wide. Ideally, claymores are placed on doors and windows. Unfortunately, we want our flank watch to activate before the enemy has an angle on us, which wouldn't happen here. A dedicated flank watch will serve us much better. Thatcher is pretty good at his job and easy to learn. He's a bit more gadget based than Sledge is, but that's fine. He has a great introduction to flex operators and, in extension, support play. Skill floor is a bit low with this guy, but it's a little higher than Sledge. Skill ceiling is too. Now, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to cut this video short. Turns out the philosophy of teaching why things are done instead of just telling people to play certain ways takes a little more time, and covering 4 operators in one video is a bit long. The defenders will be in a separate video coming up. There's a lot more to say for them too, so stay tuned. Until then, thanks for watching, have a nice day, and see ya! Japanese.